these young people are opening up and sharing things. They're really difficult to share, so we really appreciate you being willing to do that. I think Liban had something he wanted to add on this question.
Oh yeah, so thank you all that stuff. I want to shout out to CCS, and so that can really helps me. Also, like what Welcome is here. Seriously, there's some programs that help refugees here, which is like when we come to this country that we really 90% of us have like no family. We don't know nobody. I just came from the airport just to get a tax, and they put us foster care, and they really honestly believe in us, our ability to do better, and always push us to the best ability that we can be, whether they get us a counselor. And majority of us like have seen a really like tragic things that we really never able to clear our heads, and honestly they have been the best, like the best thing that would ever happen to us. And kids like us that come from different countries, if you really don't get the help you need like right away when you come to the country, you can end up like being homeless, because 90% we don't know nothing. We don't know language, we don't know nothing. But so thank you to CCS and all these companies that like help refugees and immigrants, because honestly you don't understand how much I really appreciate it and how much we all appreciate it. Because today I'm going to college, and like I 4 years ago I've never dreamed that I was going to college. I always thought I was nobody. Kids who just running around have no dream. But today that I have the passion, which I'm capable to go to graduate college. So thank you guys.
Of course, Mama, please.
Okay. Sorry. And I just wanted to share it because I felt it was important enough. Okay. So for me, Tacoma was my home. I always lived, if you're familiar, 84th and Hosmer, or 96th and Hosmer. That was since the day that I got here. That's where I lived. So Tacoma was my home. Up until 8th grade, we were kicked out from the apartment complex that I lived the longest. And they just put that note on your door that you have 30 days to leave. And so my dad was like, so what is this? Let's go ask them. And I'm like, oh Dad, this just tells that we have to go. And my dad was like, well, why do we have to go? I want you to go and ask them. So I was the one going to, the manager and asking. My dad wants to know why we have to leave, or what does this mean? And they're like, yeah, you have 30 days to leave the apartment. And we're like, but why, right? And they're like, we don't have to tell you that, so you just have to go. We find out that most of the Hispanic families in those apartment complexes were leaving as well, and they received the same letter. So we all left pretty much, and the other family that were really close to us, they left as well. We still keep in touch with them. So we all left, right? I moved to Parkland, which is considered Tacoma. I don't know about boundaries, but I had a Tacoma address, so I was living in Tacoma. It didn't matter. But right before I went to the apartment complex, it said, welcome to Parkland. So every day I was going from Tacoma to Parkland and welcome, and so I always felt welcome, right? After that year, I couldn't go to Mount Tahoma, and that's where all of my friends were going, because Mount Tahoma was new and it was full, and they didn't have space for me because I was out of district. I don't know what that means if I lived in Tacoma. Why, right? That's the moment where I felt unwelcome. I had to leave the city, basically going to that borderline. And so for so long, I didn't keep in touch with any of my friends in Tacoma. I was just living in Parkland, going to school there. Next thing you know, junior year, we have to move again. And so we moved back to Tacoma, but now it's the east side, which is Midland. Another thing with Parkland is not really Tacoma, but still, I had a Tacoma address. But going back to that part where I lived in Parkland, I had no connections with Tacoma until my freshman year in high school, where I had the opportunity opportunity to come back to Tacoma and feel part of something. That's where I joined Proyecto Mole. And so that was the family that welcomed me back to the city that I thought was my home for a really long time. So living in Parkland, out of district, I was still welcome to Tacoma through one program, and that is the only connection that I had really to Tacoma for 4 years. After coming back, I was living in Tacoma, feeling part of Tacoma, but now I had connections in a different family with a different community, which was Washington High School. And I didn't leave that school because I loved it. I made connections in that school, and I felt welcome, right, in that community. And so I was bouncing from different families, different communities, in which I felt welcome at one point and unwelcome in different locations. Kind of tricky, kind of confusing, but it's been a really positive experience through the education system and not so well through other systems.
So here's another question. What would make you want to stay and make Tacoma your home for the long term? And what factors may make you want to leave Tacoma? That's kind of a tricky question. But again, it's like some of our other questions, just what makes you feel good about living here, and what are some concerns that you have about living here? Sion? Oh.
What would make me stay in Tacoma?
Yeah.
They named the street after me or something. No, I love
So
Tacoma.
the mayor left. We can put that on our list.
What else for her? Well, I'm not saying I don't like Tacoma. I love Tacoma. It's like the place where I grew up, and I'm like familiar with it. Like all my friends are from Tacoma, even if they moved like from a different place. And I mean, I'll leave Tacoma because I want to go places. Like I want to go to Cuba, Colombia, Africa, or something. I'll still stay in Tacoma, but it's like, but Tacoma is a really good place though. You know, it's gonna make me, and probably one day I'll be coming back and, you know, make a change or something, like start a legacy, have my own school, or, you know, Sion University, or right down the street. But,
Maybe they will name a street after you. Thank you. Marco, is there something you wanted to add on that question?
Yeah. So for me, it would be, right now I don't have a reason to leave, you know, but later on, it's like when I become a history teacher, if I can't find a job here, you know, I'm gonna have to leave. So, cause I mean, I can't pay my bills if I don't have a job. So like, to me, that'd be the only reason. If I can't find a job, like in my field, you know, as a history teacher or something, that would make me want to leave Tacoma to like another part of Washington. So yeah, like that's the only reason. But besides that, the things that want to keep me here, like I said earlier, is just the programs that they have here. You know, they're really welcoming, and you know, as long as you feel welcome, you don't want to leave places. So yeah, you know, that's for me at least.
Good. Well, we have people here from various public school districts, so you have a future employee here, folks. We want to keep them here. And that's another great segue to my next question, which is to ask you to talk about your goals and your what are some of your short and long-term goals, and what barriers have you faced because of your identity as an immigrant or a refugee in achieving those goals. So, Paola, I think we'll start with you.
Okay, so throughout my high school, I'm like, what am I gonna do? I have to do something with my life. And still, I met this girl at my high school. She became my best friend. She was born here. She joined the Marines, and each time she had to go training, I would go with her, and it was so fun. We got closer, we got skinnier, we got big. It was fun. It was what I wanted to do, but there was something I couldn't fill out a paper. I couldn't fill what they wanted me to do. And it was so hard. That was my dream. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And many people would tell us, you guys look alike. You guys are like twins or you guys sisters. And she's right now in boot camp. I'm wishing her the best. But it was just like a goal that left with her. Like, she's living what I wanted to do. And many people were like, but you're a girl. Like, why? And I'm like, you don't have to be a girl or boy. It was an experience that I am glad I got to do, and maybe in the future, maybe. But it was one of the things that just broke my heart. It just left me completely wanting to do something, but just because you didn't have a specific number, you couldn't do. In my senior year, I was with the people around me, the people that knew me. I was the type of girl to have everything set up. Nobody had to worry about me like going off track, like my grades. I was on top of everything. I consider myself very responsible, and I was supposed to attend University of Washington in Tacoma. I didn't worry about my financial aid because I got a scholarship. I did the WASPA. I didn't worry about anything. I was in the summer bridge program, and I was doing fine until I got to see my financial aid on my website, and there was $8,000 that I had to put, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? I went home, and my mom asked me, how is everything doing? And I couldn't, and still today I can't tell her why I'm not attending. I went to Cloak Park Technical College to try to find a space, but I have to start till next quarter, which is next year. And I can't seem to, I failed everything that I wanted.
You're not a failure. You're just.
She will attend UWP.
Yes.
I'll make sure. And my mom just keeps asking me, and I told her I didn't want to come here, that it wasn't the right fit, and she assumed that's what it was. And now I feel like I had everything. I didn't worry about anything, and now it's like, why am I that person when I have the potential? So it kind of sucks. And right now I'm in the process of, I'm early in signing up for everything, but I'm just late. I'm gonna go into the nursing field at Cloak Park, and I feel like it's gonna start soon. It's not done for me. I'm not gonna give up. So.
Yeah.
I'm from Cloak Park Technical College, and our place is going to be better because
Okay. Is there anyone else who wants to respond to that question? It's a challenging one, but what are your short-term and long-term goals? You want to share?
Whose turn is it?
I think I say a lot, so I'm sorry, guys. My short term is just go through college and finish my AAs. My long term is just to become somebody that help people, like just turn it around and give it back to the communities and the people that who really stand on you and just help you around. So, and my peers that I think we see all as like refugees, immigrants, second language, whatever situation is, we all know that whatever you do, you have to work harder than the person who was born in this country. And such as we all say in high school that, or like one thing happened to me when I went to high school was that first day I did not speak English. So my counselor asked my foster parents like, well, how he is gonna go to class if he were not able to understand. So they first thought I was Hispanic because they have a Hispanic teachers, which I'm not, I'm Somalian. So they first assigned me an Hispanic teacher to translate Spanish, which I don't understand either of them. So it was long struggle until about 4 months they realized that I was just in a class. I wasn't understanding the teacher or anybody. So my counselor would tell my mom that I should do GED instead of high school because he thought I wasn't able to graduate on time. But I really love high school, and I told them that whether it takes longer or not, I will be able to finish high school somehow, someday. After hard work, dedication, I think finally I graduate with honor, which I'm really proud of myself. It has been hard just knowing that like every day come to class that you have to compete against people that have been here for going to school for 12 years in English. So it was just, I think that's one of the old barriers that we all see, but I'm glad that we got to say that we have people help us, whether teachers, faculty, and community members, mayor, everybody who really just stand up for refugee, try to do that one thing. I know you can help 1,000 people, but when you help one kid, his dream come true, you really did something in your life. So I just want to say thank you all. So.
Anyone else on that question? All right.
I think we are all going to try to mention our short term.
Okay, good.
My short-term goal would be to get my master's. I just graduated from UWT this past June. With my bachelor's degrees in social work, so yeah. I will be getting my master's. Social worker. So getting my master's degree in social work would be the next step in my career. I want to help youth, Latino youth. They are my passion. They represent me, and so I want to be that person to them who helped me, because I know that I got a lot of support from the community and at school, and so I want to be that person for somebody else, because it does feel good. It feels you're welcome somewhere, and I want somebody else to feel that way. So that will be my short, long-term goal until I die. Help youth in my community.
I got lots of short-term goals and long-term goals. I don't know where to start. All right. So my short-term goal is to just get this GED so I can go to Clover Park and try to get my associates, and then to a bachelor's in environmental science. So then I can go to a university like UPS or UW, and so I can become a park ranger. Yeah, saving trees and animals and stuff. Yeah, and you know that's short-term goal. Long-term. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's lots of stuff I want to do. Like I want to open up a coconut business, or restaurant. My mom knows how to cook, and she teaches me how to cook. It's crazy. I know how to cook too. I cook like Mexican food or like lots of type of food. I'm gonna open up or a food truck or something. Like go around just selling all types of food. Yeah. And also I want to like go and see like help other people and where they're from, not just my people, because I know everybody and wherever they came from, they have a place that they come from a struggle too, you know, like we all are human, you know, we all breathe from the same air and, you know, sleep the same way, or, I don't know, I snore or something, but, yeah, you know, I'm just trying to like, cause, I got like little nephews and nieces and stuff, and they're gonna start coming here to the United States like next year from Cambodia, so I just wanna show them, you know, get them prepared and stuff, so they have a good, and, you know, throw the rope for the younger generations and help them do the same each generation, you know, because I'm not gonna be here for 100 years, not like the trees I'm saving.
So I guess a short-term goal I have is probably just finish up TCC and transfer to PLU, so I can get my master's in history and, you know, become a history teacher. But one of the long-term goals that I have, that it's not just for me, but for, I guess, the people who are behind me, is be the person that I never saw in a classroom. And what I mean by that is, in high school I never saw a Hispanic teacher, so I had no one to look up to. And even right now at TC, I don't see a Hispanic teacher. So it's like, I didn't have someone that I can go up to or be like, I want to be like him or something, you know? So that's what my goal is. And I'm doing it because, well, I'm going to do it because I think it's needed. You know, there is like so many Hispanic kids who just don't want to look up to that person, and it's not there. So like, I want to be that person to help them and show them that if I can do it, they can do it too. So we have more success rate. So that's a long-term goal. But my ultimate, like the most important for me, is just to make my mom proud, you know, and show her that her struggles are bringing me here, and us being apart all these years and not being together were worth something. So yeah.
Right now, I wish I had a time machine so I could go forward a few years and see all of you with all of your goals achieved, because I have no doubt that you will be successful. Okay, one more question, and then I think we want to open it up so that all of you can ask questions. So as I mentioned earlier, we have people here from education systems, from healthcare, from government, from housing, maybe some folks in the legal system. So those are all systems that you all have had to navigate in one way or another. And we've heard some stories of some of the challenges that you faced, and also where you've had support and help. But do you have other experiences that you're willing to share about dealing either in the school setting or in issues around employment or interacting with government agencies, anything like that that you would be willing to share? Because I think these folks would like to learn from you. Marco.
Yeah, I was going to say about the work part. So I know that you need social to work and stuff, but I don't know, be like, try to, I guess, how can I explain it? Kind of try to make it to where like other people who don't have those numbers have like, you know, the chance to work. Because I started working since I was 14, and I had to go work in the fields because I couldn't get a job at McDonald's like everybody else could. So I had to endure the hot weather and all this stuff, and I also worked at the swap meet for a couple of months, working up, picking up trash and stuff like that, because, you know, I didn't have a social. But at that time, I had job offers from other people, and I had to always decline, and because I don't have the social, I can't tell them, hey, yeah, I want to do it, and follow through, and then at the end, I don't have those numbers. So, you know, like, that's been that was one of the things I had with the whole job market. Like bad experiences, I guess, until I got my DACA, which got a work permit, and they offered me, TCC offered me a job, so that was the first job that I was able to say, yeah, I'm gonna take it, and actually, take it and I accept it completely. So like that's one of the experiences I had with the job markets, So yeah.
Anyone else want to tackle that question? Oh, Devon.
Does anybody work for government here? Just raise your hand. Serious question. I wish the mayor was here, but this related education, honestly, I have been thinking this for my last 4 years of high school. Can anybody tell me what's the point of state testing? That thing gives us heart attack. You don't understand. Seriously, like, even if I graduate high school, there's one goal for me, that to make a petition to get rid of that thing, because as coming from somebody from second language, when you really have to, when you come to high school, first they tell you you have to have 22 credits to graduate. And second, they tell you no, but you have to pass this test to graduate, which really doesn't make no sense. Because honestly, is when you're trying to finish your classes with good GPA and trying to do sports and you have to worry about a test, then people who created those tests, they're not thinking about students. I'm sure all of them. Because honestly, I'm sorry, teachers, we love you, but people who make the state test, honestly give us a heart attack, and all the students should never deserve to take state tests.
I think you probably obviously have a lot of support for that position. Okay, so we want to open it up and give all of you opportunities to ask questions or make comments, so that we really make this more of a dialogue. And I think the room will work without mics, but if we need mics, we can run one up to you. But if you have a question or comment, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. Okay, go for it.
I can start softball. So I'm actually a middle school teacher. Okay, so I'm right there. Went to PLU, so you're right on target. You're right there. The challenge though is that my classrooms are diversified. My teachers are not. All right, and you guys already brought that up. But two things seem to come out in your conversation. One was the fact that you're looking for a family, and I'm not talking necessarily actual relatives, but you're looking for that connection to a community. And you were talking about Parkland didn't have the connection. You lost your connection in a sense, and then you came back and et cetera. So how do I have the ability, and I'll try to be as tactful as possible, but I look no minority, and Denmark is not a minority. So if I wanted to, because I have a lot of really awesome students, so how do I create that type of an environment in my classroom where or have a club or something that allows that connection? And you guys are much more on the inside, because I can guarantee you I have a lot of kids who might want that connection, but they're not going to tell me that. I'm not going to hear that from them talking to me, going, "Mr. Carver, I wish you did this." How would one do that in a classroom without making people feel like they're on the outside? Bringing people in. Understand that's the challenge. So there's a softball.
So, if you want to have access to the student, you have to have or gain the parents' trust. So, with Latino youth, a lot of our parents, like Paola mentioned at the beginning, they are working all day, every day. So how are you going to get to them? That's going to be tough, right? Sending, even if it's, I know Google Translate is horrible, but it's an effort. And parents like that. They want to see an effort that they can communicate. With elementary students, they change teachers every year, right? So you only have 9 months to make a connection, and hopefully those students come back to you within, a year or two before they move on to high school. So making that first connection with the parents through a letter, a welcoming letter through the first couple of weeks of school, and just stating who you are, your personal information. If you have connections with maybe your Spanish teacher at your school or someone from administration at the school who speaks Spanish, having the parents feel welcome to send you a letter in Spanish and for you to figure out what it says with your staff or your colleagues. and then communicating back and forth that way. Once you gain the parents' trust, then the student will be, well, why don't you go talk to Mr. Who and Who and ask him about this, ask him about that, and ask him about all of that, that, trust me, are not related to your classroom, but they will go to you just because you are that way into the school system.
Yes, Diane.
First, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your stories and for being vulnerable. It's important for us to hear your stories. I would like you to, if you're interested, to consider working for the city of Tacoma. We need you at the city. We have great jobs with great benefits. I heard someone speak about human rights. We have the Office of Equity and Human Rights. And I know a lot of times people just don't think of government as a place to do work, but you could come there and bring your skills and talents and help change our government so it's open to everyone. So I just throw that challenge out to you, and I hope that you'll connect with us. Thank you.
All right. We're going to do a little networking here tonight. Okay. Let's see, I think I saw your hand first.
I think that it's really evident from all of your stories that there's an immense amount of pressure that is put on you and that you put on yourself as immigrants, refugees, children of immigrants. And that's something that I think is natural for people who are growing up to have on themselves, but for you it's more immense. What are things that community members, schools, jobs, anyone can do to help alleviate that pressure or show you that, you know, what you're doing, the contributions that you're making are great? What are ways that we can support you, I guess, is another way to say that.
I just want to say, like as she said, like taking the time to, like one of the biggest thing I had one teacher relationship in my school was that when I even don't understand her, she really take her time to at least pretend that she cares and understands. Yeah, so just trying to take that another second that you show that person you really truly care about, and that no matter what they're doing that time, that or whatever you do that time, that you can just wait in a second and take the time to listen to them, even your coworker. Because I got hired my sophomore year of high school, because one of my teachers gave me this guy that she thought was a nice person. He's a nice person. He hired me when I don't speak English. I wash cars every day. They put me other side. I don't have to deal with customers. I wash that car because of really the connection and willingly to be helping around the community. Because when you're that person and we see you as a connection. So when you show us other ways.